Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to discuss William Blake, his biography and his writing style. So to understand his poetry you must understand his writing style, which is reflected in his poetry. So without wasting time, we'll begin by a brief introduction of William Blake. Right, he was born on 20th November 1757 in London, right, and he attended the school for a short period and got further higher education at home. And he was influenced by the Bible, teachings of Bible, and he started working on projects for print and book publishing. And he started writing and illustrating about Jerusalem, and his works on Jerusalem are most aspiring work. And apart from that, he died on 12th August 1827, and he was a painter, poet and printmaker as well. And during his lifetime he was not recognized as much, but now he is regarded as most influential figure in the history of visual arts, poetry and the romantic period as well. And his works are highly prophetic, right, and his works employed the imagination of human existence itself and the body, right, the god soul, and soul, body and soul relation as well. And for his idiosyncratic views, the contemporary writers and poets considered him as mad, and however later critics regarded him for his creativity and expressiveness as well, for his mystical and philosophical ideas. And apart from that, this is his early life, family life and biography details which are not required. And we'll discuss his writing style. Blake as a romantic poet, right? So in his work we'll see the features of romanticism, right, that are marked vividly and clearly, right. Romantics, his poetry is largely based on subjectivity, right, as I already told you about the themes or major things of romantic poetry: imagination, freedom of thought, idealism, escapism as well. So largely based on subjectivity, imagination, expression, freedom of thought and idealization of nature. And apart from that, Blake shows flaws of classicism in his poetry, right? And according to Blake, any piece of art is embodiment of the vision and imagination of the poet. And apart from that, many writers of 17th century, including William Blake, were greatly influenced by the French Revolution, right? And there is no nature religion, or he said all religions are one in hopes to bring change to spiritual life of the public. And he had a feeling that his spiritual life is dramatic, free and not consistent. And his poet and writing style of Blake resembles that of romanticism, imagination, mysticism, idealization of childhood, humanism or humanitarian sympathies, love of liberty, freedom and symbolism are the major features of his poetry, and he attributes great importance to these features. His poetry settings include pastoral, the rural areas, rural setting, and lyrical qualities. And distinguishing features of Blake poetry include he does not employ the traditional verse form of poetry in his poems. His poetry contains simple diction and words used by ordinary people. And Blake is visionary poet. William Blake his poetry and paintings are both controlled by his visions, his own imagination, and he claimed that these visions are dictated to him by spirits, and that the imagination of human is the divine vision and realization. And imagination is the key element in the poetry of Blake. And for example, in the poem Tiger, Blake created the image of falling spares of stars and watering of heavens with the tears of stars. And the poem symbolize represents the impassioned defense of imagination and energy. And in the poem, the tiger symbolized the abundant life and regeneration, and with the revolutionary spirit, and with the subject of child with intense seriousness. And child in his poem symbolized the courageous yet delicate instinct in human mind. So childhood, yes, romantic poetry also deals with childhood and child. They consider child as someone who is close to nature, who is innocent, who is not corrupt, right, and filled with beauty and mystery. Romantic elements in Blake's poetry include sense of wonder, intimate sympathy with the diversity of existence, observation of nature, nostalgia, escapism, right? Humanitarian approach or humanism in Blake's poetry, sympathies with humanity, love of life, and supported by liberty. And the poetry of Blake also deals with the rapid industrialization and problems caused by it and its effect on human life and human lives and child labor, and these problems are addressed by him, right? And Blake also criticized various forms of social injustices uh, of that period in London. And he was a believer of liberty, freedom, right? Though people are not chained with chains, but they made slaves mentally. And then anti-central views, anti-clerical means clerical views of Blake, right? In his poetry, church is an inhospitable place, whereas alehouse is friendly. And um, he was against the clergy, right? The ideas, notions of that. And church, he believes that church imposes religious restrictions. And pastoralism in Blake's poetry, and his poem The Shepherd is a simple poem that celebrates the happiness of truth and responsibility in a rural atmosphere. So in a conclusion, in a nutshell, we can say that he is a lyrical poet, a mystic, visionary, and artist. And his works both in poetry and art, in painting, through his painting, fascinate charms and sometimes puzzle the readers. Blake intensely used metaphors, images, symbols, and revolutionary spirits in his poetry. And that's all. And in the next upcoming video, I'll discuss his poems as well. Thank you for watching.